Brooklyn Independent Television.
Julia Whitney Barnes is an amazing mixed media artist whose work is rooted in science yet evokes the fantastical. We recently visited her Red Hook studio and got a first-hand glimpse of her artistic process.
I'm Julia Whitney Barnes, and I make mixed media work. My first experience with bats was actually in my mother's church. It's frequently where bats would roost up in the awnings, and other people I could tell were afraid of them right away. And I think it was just, I was a very curious child, and I thought these animals were just kind of magical. And the more I learned about them, the more intrigued I became. And I think that, bats have really been an underlying theme in my work for the past 10 years. My aunt also is a naturalist, and she would do bat rescue, so then I was able to see some bats up close through that. And I just became so enthralled with the fact that there was 1,000 species of bats, so a quarter of all mammals in existence are bats. There's 4,000 species of mammals and 1,000 species of bats. As an artist, I think just the work being about creation and evolution of the imagery, and then certainly like the stigma of the bat was interesting to me. I like to take something that already has a very preconceived reputation and then sort of debunk that, playing with their human-like qualities. People think we're so different from animals, but I've always felt lots of similarities and just a natural kinship to the animals around me. And so then when I'm representing the animal, I like to think about it as if it were being interpreted, say, by another bat. So I'm, of course, a human thinking about how a bat would perceive another bat. I really try to make work that's accessible to the general public, but then also readable by, the more insider audience. I think that people can approach my work, and even if they don't know specific ideas that I'm talking about, they can respond in a more like a visceral way. The orchid bat works, people, will guess all kinds of things, and then they'll be like, oh, orchid and bat. Okay, I see that. But I think, I don't want for it to be purely about those things. It's kind of more about the fusion of the plant and animal and the primal sexuality of these two things mating in nature. And I think that there's something that people just really respond to right away and can relate to. And certainly the colors, and people really want to touch my work a lot. I think it has that tactile sensation. I notice now they're renovating the Smith and 9th Street subway stop, and so they're doing a call for proposal for that. So I would absolutely love to do a project like that. And certainly to design a subway station in a neighborhood that I feel so connected to would be the ultimate project. In general, just to work in that scale and to get to have such diverse public viewing your work would be a real goal. Here, I just think the cobblestone streets and the older brick buildings and the neighborhood still has a real rawness that I think really helps support making artwork. It has just like that really neighborhood feel to it, like it could almost still be that old fishing village separated onto its own. And one of the other great things about Red Hook is just these artist communities. Like in this building was something I really wanted to have lots of artists around me. The building Screwball Spaces has over 100 artist studios plus a huge ceramic studio. I'm able to make my ceramic sculpture here and also mixed media work and really interact. We do open studios. It was really interesting to talk to people that have been in the neighborhood for years and just have them get really excited about all of the artists here. Last year I did a site-specific installation at the Brooklyn Historical Society, and my installation was based on Prospect Park and was cast pieces from architectural details in the park itself. So now I'm experimenting with what it's like to make elaborately painted versions of them. This is a earthenware sculpture. It was just press molded on site, and now I go through, this is some more black copper wash, and we'll just really work with layering up the piece. And I work with brushes and just build and build and apply more layers and fire it and see how it is. So with this ceramic sculpture, I do many layers of glazes, and then eventually it will be put into a kiln and fired again. The next piece I'm working on is a shaped wood panel that will then be painted in oil paint. And that's what I'm about to sand. So this sculpture is based on the form of tree bark that's shed from London plane trees in Prospect Park. And I cut out the form using just this little Dremel tool. They're cut out of a piece of oak wood, and then now it's a rough cut, and it'll need to be sanded and then primed with many layers, and then it's going to be the surface for an oil painting. So the process will get sanded and sanded for a long time until the edges are completely smooth, and then it will get primed with a gesso and then an oil primer, and then eventually this will be like a canvas to paint on. So thank you all for coming to visit me here in my studio at Screwball Spaces.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at breakartsmedia.org/BIT.